The ESD initiative is about, for me, it's about growing South Africa. Basically, it's economic growth, it's competitiveness, looking for inclusive economic growth, eliminating poverty and inequality. So that's really what the ESD initiative is to me. How is it going to do this? And the focus really is on small business. We need to improve their growth and their competitiveness. It's done in three ways by the ESD initiatives. First of all, it provides access to skills for small business, as well as access to finance. Businesses need money if they move through their growth potential. And also access to markets. In other words, access to be able to sell your product, whatever it is that you're delivering. So for me, the ESD initiatives are focused on achieving those, and the end game really is to grow South Africa, to grow it and its economic growth, to make sure there's employment in the economy, and basically that ends up for the betterment of South Africa as a whole. It's all about growing a small business and employment and economic growth in South Africa. So it's basically the same as the ESD initiatives, the Foster the Future for me. Let me put it this way. The ESD initiatives look towards inclusive economic growth and the elimination of poverty and inequality in South Africa. That is all for the betterment of South Africa. Foster the Future has that same vital focus. In other words, the organizations working together, the foundation, the ESD funds, the academy, all working together to achieve that goal of growing South Africa, growing its economic growth, growing its SMEs. Everybody recognizes that the economic growth potential of South Africa lies in small business. So the ASISA Foster the Future is looking at growing small businesses for the betterment of South Africa, for the growth of South Africa, for more inclusion, less poverty, more transformation. So Foster the Future is looking to improve South Africa as a whole, and the ESD initiatives work together to achieve that outcome for South Africa. The FLAME program for me is where small business starts. And when you start a small business, you start as a micro enterprise. In other words, at the grassroots, this is where you begin, maybe a sole proprietary, you're growing vegetables, you putting together a marketing strategy for that business, and the money that the foundation receives from, for example, the ESD funds doing well is used then for the FLAME initiatives, which looks to grow those micro enterprises. And that's where it starts. But the next step is that you need to access finance. You need to access markets. So once the FLAME micro enterprises start growing their businesses and start growing into real potential businesses, and they will be needing access to markets, they will want to grow, they will want to expand, they will need finance to finance that growth. And all that comes about through accessing the rest of the ESD initiative tools that we have available, like the finance in the ESD funds. Maybe they reach a growth potential where they can actually access finance in the funds and provide further input into the foundation and its FLAME program and the further round of micro enterprises and growing those enterprises into larger enterprises that will employ people and grow South Africa into the land we want it to be. The highlights of the past 10 years, and I'm going to say there isn't one or two that I can absolutely bring out as the ultimate highlight. For me, what has been the highlight is to view the actual outcomes. So the highlights for me have been, for example, the annual stakeholder meeting, where we actually put across to all our stakeholders what the foundation first and the ESD funds have achieved for the ESD initiatives and to foster the future. The other highlight for me has always been the graduation ceremony, particularly of the FLAME participants, because trustees and members of the board very rarely get to see what's happening on the ground, to actually meet the people that the initiatives are attempting to grow and to help. So we don't actually meet them, but at the graduation ceremonies and to see the prize giving, to see what everybody has achieved, particularly the micro enterprises under the FLAME program, has always been a highlight for me and very special. Over the 10 years, that has been great. Always graduation ceremonies are a highlight for me across the ESD initiatives and what they have achieved. When I worked at National Treasury, we had certain policy objectives. Key ones were consumer financial education. And in order to foster that, we set up the National Consumer Financial Education Committee, where all the participants in consumer financial education got together to discuss the way South Africa was going to achieve consumer financial education. What's important about financial education for consumers is that it empowers them, and that at its grassroots, it takes away inequality, it transforms the economy, it transforms people and their lives if they are better able to manage their financial affairs and their financial future. So that is fully aligned then with government's objectives, and certainly those objectives for National Treasury. But in general, the objective of national government, and here we're talking interministerial, so it's the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Department of Trade and Industry, they working together to improve the growth potential of small businesses, because government as a whole realizes we need to employ people. How do we do that? We need to do that by having businesses that grow, businesses that improve, businesses that are more competitive. In fact, businesses that compete with the best companies in the world. We have the potential to do it in South Africa, but we need to help them to actually grow. So national government across the various initiatives is attempting to do that. And in that respect, the ESD initiatives are very much aligned to government policy. What are we all about? We want to have a better South Africa. We want employed people. We want growing SMEs. We want economic growth across South Africa for the betterment of everybody, of all the people of South Africa. And we want to eliminate poverty and make sure there's transformation and equality across the social sphere in South Africa. So to me, the initiatives are very much aligned with what the national government is looking for. The growth of SMEs driving economic growth for the betterment of all in South Africa. The crux of the whole ESD initiatives and why I'm actually so committed to it is because it achieves growth for small businesses, which in the end will achieve growth for South Africa. So it all ties together to make a better South Africa, and what more can we want? So for me, it's a very powerful initiative. And I mean, the only thing you really want is that it achieves scale, more scale than it has achieved to date. but that means a lot more capacity, a lot more resources, a lot more commitment from the financial sector. I certainly think the financial sector wants to achieve those outcomes and will certainly put their money where their mouth is.